Good morning. My name is Nyla Griffith, and today I'll be presenting to you dengue fever. Here are the following topics that I will be presenting today. First, what is dengue fever? What is dengue hemorrhagic fever? The geographic location in which dengue fever is around the world. The symptoms of dengue fever, the transmission, about the mosquito that transmits it, the treatments, how to prevent dengue fever, my experiment, and some extra information. What is dengue fever? Dengue fever is a mosquito-borne flu-like illness that has some of the same symptoms of the flu and is a lot like the flu, so it's often mistaken for it. There are 4 types of dengue fever: den 1, den 2, den 3, and den 4. And once you get one of them, you can't get it again. So that's called immunity. And the symptoms of dengue fever usually appear 5 to 10 days after being infected. Of dengue fever. Mild, moderate, or high fever, depending on how severe your dengue fever is. Vomiting, rashes on the skin, joint, muscle, or bone pain, headaches, and nausea. Most people just get the mild, moderate, or high fever, the joint, muscle, or bone pain, the headaches, and the nausea. The other ones aren't as common. Some symptoms of dengue hemorrhagic fever are bleeding from the nose and mouth, severe abdominal pain, persistent vomiting, bleeding under the skin, and problems with your lungs, liver, or heart. Here are some examples of how dengue fever is transmitted. It is mainly transmitted by the Aedes aegypti mosquito, which catches dengue fever and then sends it into your bloodstream. And once they bite humans become the main carriers and multipliers of the virus. It can be transmitted from human to human and from mosquito to human. The mosquito eggs of the dengue Aedes aegypti mosquito are very strong, and they can survive harsh weather, and they can be carried from place to place through water. So when there are storms and floods, mosquito eggs can survive them and be transmitted from place to place. The Aedes aegypti mosquito lives in urban areas, and it lives and breathes in man-made containers, such as like cisterns, buckets, and things that hold sitting water. Tires and lucky bamboo are also sources of transporting mosquito eggs through international trade. Dengue fever started off in Asia and then spread to North America and Europe through international trade. Here is stuff about the Aedes aegypti mosquito. It is a small, dark mosquito, as you can see here, and it has black and white legs. And there's a proboscis where it bites you and gives you the dengue fever. It kind of looks like a nose. And it lives in water storage containers such as tires, flower pots, buckets, swimming pools, and cisterns. And it likes to live in places where there are no piped water systems, so there's more sitting water for it to live in. Here's the biting behavior of the Aedes aegypti mosquito. They usually bite from sunrise to sunset, as early as 2 hours before sunrise and a couple hours after sunset. And they approach from behind as to not be seen when they're biting, and they bite the ankles and the elbows. They normally bite humans, but they sometimes bite domestic animals such as dogs, cats, and animals that live in homes. Here are some of the treatments of dengue fever. There's no cure or vaccine for dengue fever yet, but they're working on it from now. And you can get medicines and surgeries to help treat dengue fever. Some examples are transfusion of fresh blood or platelets to correct bleeding problems associated with dengue fever. And oxygen therapy helps treat abnormally low blood oxygen, which comes with dengue fever. And most people that think they have dengue fever use pain relievers, so to take away the pain when they have pain. And it's a good idea. Doctors recommend to rest, drink water and fluids, and avoid further mosquito bites. And if you think you have dengue fever or any type of if you have dengue fever or dengue hemorrhagic fever, to consult a doctor to make sure you are not infected with it. Here are some preventions for dengue fever. When traveling or living in places that dengue fever is common, it's a good idea to use mosquito nets to block out the mosquitoes, like when you're sleeping or just like taking a nap. And it's good to empty sitting water near your home, turn buckets over and store them, and always check for accumulated water. And to loosen soil in potted plants, because sometimes when you like put water in plants, the soil is hard and there's sitting water at the top, and that's where mosquitoes sometimes like to lay their eggs and breed. It's a good idea to have screened doors and windows, which blocks out mosquitoes from getting inside your home or wherever you are. And to wear long, loose clothing so you don't get bit by mosquitoes. It's good to use bug repellent that contains deep picaridin and oil from a lemon eucalyptus plant, which it prevents the mosquito from biting. And here is my experiment. This experiment was set up by having 112 healthy men and women between the ages of 18 and 50. The purpose was to see whether the experimental vaccine made up of live but weakened viruses was both safe and stimulated an antibody response against all 4 dengue types. This basically means they were trying to make a virus that would block out, which would prevent you from getting all 4 of the types of dengue. They formulated 4 different versions of the combination vaccine and tested a separate vaccine in each of the 4 groups of 20 studies. Here are the results. All of the dengue vaccines produced an antibody response, which means all of them prevented you from getting at least one of the dengue fevers. But one experimental compound called the TV003 induced an immune response to all 4 types of dengue viruses in 45% of the 112 men and women. And an immune response to 3 of the viruses was seen in 90% of the persons. The combination vaccine was safe, producing only a faint rash in about 60% of the participants. So 60% of them got some kind of symptom, but they didn't actually catch it. All 4. Here's some extra information. The eggs of the mosquito that transmits dengue fever has the ability to survive drying for long periods of time, allowing eggs to be easily spread to new locations. Like I said, it can be through international trade and like storms and floods. Anyone can get dengue fever, and not many die. Only 1% of people have to be hospitalized of people that get dengue fever and dengue hemorrhagic fever. Mothers who are pregnant and give birth while sick with dengue fever will share their sickness with their newborn child. And this disease has a geographical spread like malaria and has symptoms similar to flu. And it infects about 50 to 100 million people a year. My citations. Are there any questions?
Questions or does dengue fever also occur in the Caribbean?
Yes, it does. There's a lot of cases in the Caribbean.
So if you get one of the types of are you immune to all 4 or just that one?
Just that one. So if you get that kind, you're immune to that one, but you still have a chance of getting the other 3 types. Worried?
You said that you still have a chance of getting the other 2 types. Does that mean like you can have one and then you go home and you could get dengue fever again?
And the more types of dengue fever that you get, it higher the chance of getting dengue hemorrhagic fever, the more severe. Did that answer your question?
Yes.
Lexi?
I see. I have 2 questions. You said one of the symptoms was bleeding under your skin. How exactly is that?
That's a very good question. I'm glad you asked that. I'd have to conduct further research, James.
I have another question. Why do the rashes go on your elbows and ankles? Since there's a bone in here.
The rashes don't only occur on your elbows and knees. They occur in other places, but that's where the mosquito usually shows. Chris?
Are there any other forms of dengue or bridge fever?
No, it's just one type. It's just one severe form. Is that their question?
Yes.
Deanna?
Okay, so earlier you mentioned proboscis of the mosquito. Is there any difference between the particular one on the Aedes aegypti to any other type of mosquito, or is it just that's what you decided to mention to give us a further description of the mosquito?
The proboscis of the mosquito is on like all kinds of insects. It's where they like suck up things. Like the mosquito drinks blood, and on a butterfly they have proboscis too, and that's how they get their food from flowers and stuff. Did you answer your question?
Well, actually, I just wanted to know, is there any difference between the proboscis on the Aedes aegypti to a regular old mosquito that bites you every day?
No, there isn't.
Okay, thank you.
Hi.
How are they working on educating people in third world countries and less educated places on homelessness side? Because I noticed it affects the third world countries the most. I think. How are they working on educating people about like, how to prevent it and how to treat it and getting proper medical care?
That's a good question. I'll have to conduct some research.
What is the difference in a whole? It's less than 1%, but it's not very severe.